Hi everyone, in this video we're going to check 5 decades-old cold cases that were solved in 2021. Welcome to Undefined Mysteries. The first case on our list is the case of Annette Schnee and Bobby Joe Oberholzer. In 1982 in Breckenridge, Colorado, 2 lifeless bodies of 2 different women were discovered. The crime scenes were miles from one another, and the bodies were found 6 months apart. And yet, police believed that both women were killed on the night by the same man. The only thing connecting them was orange socks. On January 6, 1982, Bobby Joe Oberholzer, 29 years old, left home at 7:15 a.m. Her day had begun as usual, and she hitchhiked to work. Jeff Oberholzer was Bobby's husband. He ran an appliance repair business, and she worked as a receptionist. They had been married for about 4.5 years at the time of Bobby's death, and they lived in Alma, 14 miles away from where her body was eventually found. At 6:02 p.m., Jeff got a call from Bobby saying she was having drinks with friends after work. He asked her if she wanted him to pick her up, but she told him that she would get a ride home. Jeff made dinner and waited for Bobby to come home. At some point, he fell asleep. He woke up around midnight and discovered that his wife hadn't returned. Jeff drove into Breckenridge to look for Bobby, and her friends told him she left the bar around 7:30 p.m. They assumed she'd gotten a ride home. When Jeff reported to police that Bobby was missing, they told him it was too early to file a report. Finally, he drove back home to wait for his wife. The next morning, a farmer who lived 30 miles outside Breckenridge found Bobby's driver's license on his property. When Jeff and 2 friends were on their way to pick it up, they made a disturbing discovery. Something blue in a snow-covered field. It was Bobby's backpack, the one she always had with her. Next to the backpack was one of Bobby's gloves, spattered with blood and several bloody tissues. Jeff's friends helped him organize a search. 2 hours later, they found Bobby's lifeless body more than 15 miles from where her backpack was discovered. She'd been shot twice. Her house keys were found at the scene. At the crime scene, police found 3 intriguing clues. The only footprints near the body were from Bobby. A plastic cord was tied around one of her wrists, and a single orange sock was found nearby. The same day Bobby Joe's body was found, another woman, Annette Schnee, 21 years old, was reported missing. Annette was a cocktail waitress in Frisco, Colorado, and like Bobby, often hitchhiked to and from work. Because of the similarities, both cases were immediately connected by the police. Investigators questioned Jeff about Annette. At first, he denied knowing her. However, after seeing her picture on the news, he recalled meeting her once. Jeff claimed he had once picked up Annette when she was hitchhiking, and he had given her his business card, but he had never seen or heard from her since that day. He also denied any involvement in her disappearance or Bobby's death. On July 3, 1982, 6 months after her disappearance, and 13 miles away from where Bobby Joe's body had been found, Annette's body was discovered. Police were shocked with the discovery that she was wearing the match for the orange sock. Jeff's business card was found inside her wallet. The prime suspect immediately became Jeff Oberholzer. Authorities tried to put together a scenario for what might have happened on the night of January 6th. Annette Schnee was last seen in Breckenridge at around 4 p.m. in deep conversation with an unidentified dark-haired woman. Police believed that around 5 p.m., Annette left to hitchhike home. The suspect picked her up and drove 20 miles south of Breckenridge. He took her down a small, dead-end road where he assaulted her in his vehicle. While she was getting dressed, she forgot to put on her other orange sock and attempted to escape when she was shot in the back while running away. Police believe the suspect then drove back to Breckenridge and found his second victim, Bobby Joe Oberholzer. He drove Bobby 10 miles south of Breckenridge to a scenic overlook where he attempted to assault her. Bobby managed to escape from the vehicle where the orange sock then fell out. The suspect then chased her down the road and shot her twice as she turned away. Police felt the fact that Jeff Oberholzer knew both victims was more than just a coincidence. 2 months after his wife's death, Jeff took a polygraph test and passed. From day one, Jeff insisted that he had an alibi. He said that at the time of the deaths he was at home visiting a friend. For nearly 9 years, no one could find this man. Then in December 1990, he finally surfaced and was questioned about that night. Investigators interviewed the man, who claimed that he had been in Jeff's house. However, his time and Jeff's time of the visit didn't match up. Jeff Oberholzer had always maintained his innocence and claimed that the suspect had to be someone that Bobby knew she wouldn't have left with a stranger, especially when he offered to pick Bobby up. For years, the blood found on Bobby's gloves and the tissues with her backpack were believed to be hers. However, in the early 1990s, DNA testing determined that it came from a male. The testing also determined that the blood wasn't Jeff's. As a result of this and other evidences, including several alibi witnesses, Jeff was eventually cleared as a suspect in the case. Police looked into several other suspects as well. One was cab driver Thomas Edward Luther, who in February 1982 picked up a hitchhiker in Breckenridge, then beat and insulted her. While in jail, he allegedly bragged about being responsible for the deaths. According to his girlfriend, he didn't come home on the fatal night. He also lied to investigators and said he was at work at the time. The other suspect, Tracy Petruccelli, killed his fiancée in 1981 and went on a multi-state crime spree. During this time, he stayed at Annette's workplace, the Holiday Inn in Frisco. However, neither suspect's DNA matched the evidence from the crime scene. On February 24, 2021, a 70-year-old man named Alan Lee Phillips was arrested and charged with the deaths. He was also charged with kidnapping and assaulting with a deadly weapon. He is currently being held without bail. Genetic genealogy was used to link the DNA found at the crime scene to Phillips. Investigators also suspect that he may be involved in other crimes throughout Colorado. Sadly, Bobby's brother Kelly and father Thomas have passed away before finding out who was responsible for taking her life. If you found this interesting, then be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button. You don't have to miss out what other mysteries are waiting for you.